Russell back with Bermuda Lawns in beautiful, look at that sky, Atlanta, Georgia. Today is June the 18th, 2021, and I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. It is actually Saturday today, and I'm gonna cut my neighbor's yard up the street because it is really overgrown, even for Bermuda. And I want to show you a little technique that I use to handle that and to not, it's a pretty big yard and I don't want to be blowing and blowing and blowing. I'm going to show you a problem with that. We're going to be using the 48-inch trim star. I use high lift blades on the trim star, which is what they come with from the factory. And I just sharpened them yesterday, so they're ready to go. Okay, so I want to show you, first of all, this is my yard, and hopefully it's gonna come out in the camera. This is 2 inches. Okay, Bermuda should be cut at around 2 to 2.5 inches maximum. The reason for that is Bermuda, especially in this heat, will thicken up like crazy. Let me show you something. Now, I cut this last night after a storm, but you see how thick this Bermuda is? I mean, it's like a carpet. If you can look down and it looks like a actual carpet, you can't see the ground. That's what you want. My grass used to be really sparse. This area I'm trying to get to creep over. You can see the runners, which it's doing nicely. I'm not going to show you guys the hill yet that I did a video on, that we're trying to get it to creep up to the fence. You're going to be surprised, I think. But let me just tell you that because of the heat, I've had to start earlier in the morning. And it's about, what time is it right now? It's about 10 after 11. Normally, during these high 90s heat we've been having, I've had to start about 7:30. And there is so much dew on the grass. It is absolutely, bird watching me, it absolutely makes a horrible mess. But there's nothing I can do. I can't do all of them later after it dries out. The grass pretty much in the sun is still not dry. I don't know if you can see the little what do you call them, just moisture. See, it's still wet, and that's sitting in the sun. So I may wait another hour, because there's a technique I want to show you that's very effective if you're cutting southern Bermuda or centipede. I used to have one St. Augustine yard. It's not as bad to do that, but Bermuda has a problem. Or if you have people that insist on bi-weekly, which is every 2 weeks lawn care, which 90% of the people in Atlanta will not pay for weekly. They want to do it every 2 weeks. And when we get a lot of rain and a lot of this heat, this Bermuda grows absolutely like crazy. So I have to cut my yard about every 5 days. And it was obnoxious yesterday. I think I went 6 days on that, and my mower couldn't hardly do it. The Honda just, partly because it was damp, but it's really a problem. And the yard that I'm going to show you is way overgrown, and I think he cut it not even 2 weeks ago. So the problem is, if you come in there and cut more than 1/3 of the height off of the Bermuda at a time, it's going to look kind of yellowy. If you notice my yard, do not look at the furrows from the grass, but if you notice, my yard's still green, and over here it's still green. Now, depending on the height I decide to cut his yard at, it may be a little bit yellow. It doesn't hurt the grass, but it makes a horrible mess. And one of the problems is that when Bermuda is that tall and you use high lift blades, you will pull out some of the some of these pieces right here. You have rhizomes and stolons, and it's basically like you losing a little bit of your hair. The problem is the grass is dark green, and those pieces are, they're like manila colored, so it looks horrible all over the yard. But if you use the technique that I'm going to show you, And it's not just about double cutting. You must have high lift blades on your mower, and you need to have a chute blocker. If you don't have a chute blocker, it's not going to work, because there's no place, and especially if you don't have a place to blow all the clippings everywhere. If you have normal clippings, like let me show you. Okay, see, those are green and they blend in with the grass. You can't, if you're just looking, you can't see them. But when you get these right here, see, it's a complete different color. So if you get a lawn full of that, it looks horrible. And unless you have a place to blow them, like woods or something, you're just blowing them around, because normal green, small, fine clippings, they go up under, they go down in the grass. You can't see them. So I'm just gonna, it's gonna make sense when I show you. I'm gonna show you two different things. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait till this grass dries out a little bit. I'm gonna take one for the team for you guys. It's hot out here. It's hot. It's gonna be 101 2 days in a row. I think on maybe Tuesday and Wednesday, something like that. So I actually got, I'm gonna do a separate video about how to survive out here. I actually got sick on Monday. I got heat illness. You can get heat illness, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. And if you work by yourself like I do, and you get into the heat stroke, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, you can die. You literally can die unless you get to the hospital. So yeah. So anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling. I am going to, the next cut will be at the yard, and I'm going to show you what I do to minimize time on the yard, to not have to do as much blowing, and to minimize these, we're just going to call them the white dead pieces that the blades actually can pull up from the grass. All right, so we'll be right back. All right, so here is the yard in question, and it's still got some dew, but it's probably, a lot of it in different places is 6-7 inches, 5 inches. So yeah, so this yard is always one that really grows really fast. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to work on I think this area right here, so I don't have to move the tripod. This is a corner lot, and you'll be able to get the gist of what I'm trying to show you guys when I do it. But I'm going to set the tripod up probably I don't know, over here, and just kind of shoot it this way. And the first thing I'm going to do is I want to show you guys what the pieces look like that come off of the grass when it's this tall. Now this grass should be cut at no more than 2.5 inches, but I would be taking probably 4 to 5 inches off, and it would make an enormous, huge mess. And I don't want to do that. The owner gave me permission to cut it a little higher. So I'm probably thinking I'm going to probably do 3.5 inches, which is insanely high for Bermuda. But he's going to be gone for a while, and this grass will get out of control very quickly. So I'm going to do a couple strips, a couple passes with the flap open, and let you see the variety of clippings that actually come off of a high lift blade. so this is insanely high for Bermuda. So this is normal grass clippings, obviously. It's green, but you see this stuff right here, these tops, and this is actually what will get sprayed all over the lawn and will cause you a nightmare about trying to blow it. You can't blow this anywhere. Normal grass clippings, because they're green, sink down into the soil and sink down into the grass and they disappear. All right, so what do you do with this? Well, if you cut the entire lawn, you're gonna have to blow the entire lawn off. Well, you're gonna either have to blow it into the street, and then what do you do with it? You don't want to blow it into the bed. So I'm going to show you a technique that I'm going to use over here. I'm going to keep it at the same height. I'm going to go from here to the pole, the light pole, and up. I'm going to make a big square, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the flap closed, and I'm going to make cornrows. That's what I call them, cornrows, and you're going to see a difference. All right, so I know you're gonna ask the question, why not just double cut it? Well, aside from that little bit of leaf debris I have right there, see there's no clippings. All right, so if you, and then you're like, well, why not just mulch it up? That's what you're doing. Well, I don't have mulching blades or a mulching deck set up. And what this allows me to do is, I see this is the problem. I have a minimum amount of that because I'm not discharging, but I'm cutting towards the inside, and it's minimizing the amount of blowing I'm gonna have to do. Now I'll go run back over this and it'll chop it up. But if I will do that on the entire lawn, and I've done this lawn many times,
and blowing this, because basically you got to blow everything uphill, is just, it's no good. It's no good. So the key is, you see, the key is to use your chute blocker. Just keep it closed the whole time. All right, shoot everything inside, so you're going to work your way in. Now it will work if you go back and forth, but then you're going to have cornrows. So I basically took the discharge and kept processing it over and over, because what happens is this stuff doesn't want to cut up. That's the problem. I don't care how many times you run over it, it's very, very hard to cut up. See, there's a little bit of debris right there, but see that? This white stuff that's mixed in with the green stuff, that's the problem. So yep, so that's just my technique. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the entire yard, and then we'll walk around it again and let you see. And yep, so that's a little helpful hint that I use.
A little more than an hour, about an hour and 4 minutes. It would have taken me about 50 to 55 minutes if I had not been filming, but let me show you guys. So there's just a little bit here and there. The storm that we had last night had a lot of knocked a lot of pine straw in the yard, and that stuff is almost impossible once it sticks in the Bermuda to get it out. The mower doesn't like to cut it. Now this, again, there's a little bit of leaves because the wind's blowing, and there's this pin oak shed leaves all year round. But so again, who is this technique for? If you're going to use mulching blades and you have a mulching kit, don't worry about it. It basically accomplishes the same thing, but there's no way I can use a mulching kit in this environment, because sometimes I have to cut stuff that's 14, 16 inches tall, and I have to discharge it. But for normal southern Bermuda like we have here, or centipede, or zoysia, this technique works very well. I had one St. Augustine yard that I don't have anymore, that I really didn't have to do anything. St. Augustine, the blade is pretty much, because it's so thick, the blade is pretty much green all the way down to the ground. But let me show you guys this. So this is why they say don't cut more than a third off at a time, because the top portion is green and the bottom portion is, we'll just call that like tan manila type color. So that's why if I had cut this yard where I would normally wanted to cut it, which would have been 2.5 inches, it would be the whole yard would look kind of like this. This is just heat stress. We have had 98, 97 degree temperatures, and we just got a huge downpour last night, so the grass greened up pretty good. It's always going to be darker down where the water tends to flow to, but yeah, this is all, when we have normal rain, this entire yard looks just like this, or even greener. But I would say, I'm going to calculate, this saves me about 12 minutes on, the way I used to do this yard, I would just go back and forth like I normally did, discharge it, obviously not into the street, but then I have to go back and blow, and it's just a pain. This way is much more efficient. It cuts the clippings up a little better, and I don't have a mulching kit, and it pretty much accomplishes the same thing. If you live in an area and you guys cut cool season grass, I have one yard that's a fescue yard. This does not work. It grows too fast. It probably grows, and I have to cut that yard weekly. It will probably grow, I cut that yard at 3, look at there, found me a dime. cut that yard at 3.5 inches, same height, but it grows a good 6 inches every week. So it's 9 or 10 when I'm cutting it. So yep. But anyway, hopefully that'll help you if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to clean, or you want a good technique that'll save you some time. I'm all about trying to save time and make everything look better. So anyway, guys, thank you very much, and I will see you on the next video.